spending years behind bars for a crime you didn't commit, because that's exactly what happened to our next two guests. Please welcome Jeffrey Deskovic and William Lopez. Thank you so much for coming in this morning. I was doing research, and your stories are, they're fascinating. So, Jeff, we're going to start with you. Tell us a little bit about how you ended up behind bars.
Yeah, I was wrongfully convicted at age 17 of a murder and rape in New York. The wrongful conviction was caused by a coerced false confession, prosecutorial misconduct, fraud by the medical examiner, and then a public defender, despite a negative DNA test.
That was the thing that I found most interesting, is that there was DNA at the crime scene. It was not yours, and yet you still ended up behind bars, because we always hear about DNA wasn't available at that time, DNA came out later, and that wasn't the case with you.
Exactly. It was one of the things that frustrated me while I was still incarcerated.
So how did you get out?
Ultimately, further DNA testing through the DNA data bank not only reaffirmed my innocence, but it also identified the actual perpetrator.
So 16 years behind bars, knowing you didn't commit the crime, I mean, how do you get through day after day?
You're not thinking that you're serving that much time. In my mind, I was only doing a year or two until the next appeal was decided, which case I was sure I would be released. But, you know, I lost all 7 of my appeals, and I was turned down for parole as well.
Wow. Now, Will, let's turn to you, because you have a similar story, that you were wrongfully convicted, but you spent more time behind bars.
That's correct. I spent 23 and a half years. In 1989, in a botched robbery, there was an individual got killed, and I was accused of killing that individual. In 1990, I went to trial, and maintaining my innocence all along. I was found guilty and convicted, and ultimately in 2013, I was exonerated, finally.
Now, Jeff, you were released in 2006, but Will, you just celebrated your 1-year anniversary of being out from behind bars. I mean, how do you reintegrate back into society after all that time?
Well, it's actually very surreal and really crazy, because when I went to prison in 1989, we didn't have internet, we didn't have cell phones, we didn't have Metro cards, we didn't have any of that stuff. So today, I come out, and this world is just so fast. Everything is speedy. But it's wonderful being home again.
Now, Jeff, I'm going to turn back to you, because you met Will through your foundation that you created with the part of the money that you won in your settlement, which I think is just incredible. So real quickly, tell us about that.
Sure. I couldn't forget about the people I metaphorically left behind, so I decided to commit a significant amount of the money that I was awarded. And what we work on trying to exonerate people, not just in DNA cases, but also in non-DNA cases. And Bill was the first case in which we had a hand in helping to exonerate somebody.
Yeah.
All right, and if you want more information, it's actually called the Jeffrey Deskovic Foundation, so be sure to look them up. They're on Facebook. You can also find them online. We'll have more information on the DBZ.com. We'll be right back.